Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Corcoran Entertainment Show. I'm your host, Franky Corcoran, coming at you today with another installment of the Thursday Think Tank with Christian and Friends. Joined as always by a man who is his
Are
connection
you
has.
struggling? Are you struggling with this? Are you struggling with this part? Like the
I was
intro?
like, what do I
Like,
say about his connection? His
yeah,
connection was kind of bad
sounded
earlier.
like a struggle. Wow. Wow. Start
Hi,
strong,
Christian.
Concord.
It's Christian
Hi.
Potenza, everybody. How are you, Christian?
What's up, Think Tank Nation? TT for life. TT for life. What? We got gang symbols now. So see that? TT for life. I'm really good. I'm really good. And I want to thank you for that powerful ramp of an intro because I just feel empowered by that whole thing. I can't wait to watch that. This is Christian who he's whew,
Is that how I did it? It wasn't
yeah,
that bad, was
I
it?
want it. That's just staying. That's very indicative of the last 2 weeks of my life. I sounded like you. Hey, Christian, what do you think? I uh, well, here's the thing. Just what was I talking about again? That was pretty much verbatim with my discussions because the last 2 weeks and especially this last week that just passed, I sewed up a lot of um, old projects that I started up a year ago, a few months ago. And now, when you're in production, you're in hiding. Nobody knows about it. And I'm not putting anything up on social media because that's not professional. And also, that's right thumb affirmation, good sign. I didn't put any of it up because, it's between myself and my clients. And also, there's a lot of strategy. And also, there's a lot of competition. There's also a lot of spies. So, and this is something that I want to talk to our guests that come on to Think Tank about job security. How do you protect your IP? Here we are pitching them in front of all the world to see, right? And there's probably some people in there just going, hey, this was my idea. I had this idea 4 years ago. It's like, yeah, show me original thought and I'll give you the $1 million in my pocket right now. Both of those things don't exist. But there are ways of patenting your IP, right? There's the poor man's copyright, which is you write down and all your ideas and stuff that you've had, the providence, the any work or the people that have been working on it, like the DNA trail, and you mail it to yourself, including links to anything that was, but you do it in a hard copy sort of way because that stamp on the and you don't open it, you just mail it to yourself and don't open it because that stamp from Canada Post is legally binding. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And if you open it up, that's right. Fireworks affirmation. Oh boy, it's
that's
going
so
to be a
cool.
day. But you see, before you can even get to, all that, there comes a thing called post production and then launch, for your projects. And that's what I have been doing for the last 2 weeks and especially last week. I'm launching an audio book that I did for a Dr. Brendan Coates. And he's a biohacking, he's in the biohacking industry and something that we can talk about later because it's changed my life and it's a part of the medical world that's like on the rise as people want to fix themselves. This is a better alternative than a lot of stuff that's out there. And so the biohacking industry is on the rise. And I am producing not only the audiobook for this gentleman, but his podcast that is all encompassing. And this is like a three-parter because there's the morning where the customer comes in and the customer where the guest comes in and they discuss the what mushroom coffee that they're going to have and they have a little discussion there. It's very loose, great documentary style uh, podcasting. And then they go to the actual podcast and then where they're there for a couple of hours. And then there's another part where they get in this sauna or they go for a cold plunge in the ice tub, right, that Wim Hof cold plunging, right, as part of biohacking. And then another part is in there. And then they go into this infrared sauna to warm up after the fire and ice treatment, right? Which is a huge thing a lot of people are doing right now. Joe Rogan and all those people are doing cold dips and fire and ice therapy, cold plunge therapy. Um, so it's like this massive project that I've been shooting, and everything that I've been producing over the last couple years, months, weeks is now being ready to launch. And it just so happens that on the tail end of this, all that stuff going out, where I've learned how to be a producer for so many platforms and getting the content out there, that it was the dovetailing right into this thing, which is fantastic, which will then go into the other things that I'm doing with the Freedom Forgers and stuff like that. So I've had a great week and I've cleared my plate, but of course there was postpartum today because it was all over as I listened to the final tracks. But then I remembered I have the second episode of Think Tank going on today. So I was like, oh, my postpartum left, but I'm really excited, and that's me in a nutshell. How about you, man? How's it been going the last 2 weeks with you? What's
Great.
what's
That
new in
feels
your
great to hear
tank?
though, man. Like just to hear how well you're doing and like you're keeping busy and you still got all kinds of stuff ready to go. I think that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I had some really big auditions. I had an audition for a feature film that I really liked. Haven't seen one of those in a while, and also for some cartoons. I had to do for the Paw Patrol movie. I had to do dinosaur sounds, so I sent in a minute of. That was terrible, by the way. That's not what. You know what? You
I
guys
was
are
gonna say,
never
don't
gonna know what
cast
it's like.
him.
If I get it, no one's gonna know. But I had some more voice auditions as well, and got another one tomorrow. So things are picking up in that side of it, which is great because I've been focused in on just doing my own thing. But doing my own thing and your own thing are chocolate and peanut butter right now. But let's hear about what's been going on with you for the last week or two.
Yes, well, it's funny because when we're recording this will be out in about a week or 2 weeks from when we're shooting it. But hopefully you guys will have seen our latest production on March 1st and 2nd, Playhouse Quarrel, which I do have the poster right here. I have one right there, March 1st and 2nd. I had to. It was originally, as people know, it was slated for November, but unfortunately, this lad here, he had a heart attack. Luckily, he's on the mend, and the show is going ahead. At the time of this recording, it is done as long as everything goes good. But
Knock on wood.
yeah, knock on wood. So, here from the future, if anybody here saw the show, thank you for coming out. Because at the time of this recording, we haven't staged it yet. We're still doing the final rehearsals. But so yeah, I mean, after that, I got lots more planned too. I mean, like I have pretty well, lots of projects lined up for the rest of the year, and also the Think Tank and the podcast has been really picking up as well. Especially now that we're doing the 2 episodes bi-weekly now. Of course, our regular one on Tuesdays, and then the Think Tank that's bi-weekly every second Thursday. Things have been going great. Things are really, really going good, and it's just great because I say this all the time how 3 years ago we were just dying to get out of the house and do stuff
Right.
and find ways to
Yeah.
keep busy. And now there's too much going on. Not that it's a bad thing, but you're like, wow, it was all building up to this.
And I've been rushing home to do things instead of trying to get out to do things. I'm rushing home to do things because everything has been driven into my home. Where
Yeah.
I'm either building a studio and working with people in their studios or patching them in through mine. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I love how something I saw years ago manifesting has now materialized, and I woke up in the dream. It's not like you wake up before the dream and enter the dream and then leave the dream. I feel like I woke up in my own deja vu or dream because I've been seeing it playing out like this, and it's organically. I was talking to my friend Lynn Zelani the other day. She runs the Freedom Forgers program with me, and I was saying I feel like I'm walking, like you've seen that that those movies where the fairy princess walks across the pond, and as she steps, a lily pad appears, and they just, as long as she's stepping on the water, a lily pad will appear and she can float. And she doesn't have to follow a path. It's wherever. And I feel very much like that, lifted, not like relying on my wings or my stamina, like speed. If the bus stops, it'll blow up, like what I'm used to, bracing for impact over those peaks and valleys, and just like it's just been a solid third gear, and things have been unfolding like that. I step, therefore there's a lily pad, and I feel like I've made it across to the other side. And there was Franky Corcoran.
I'm just standing
But
here like, Christian, you're late.
yeah, it's people with lists. It's just people with lists. I understand them, but I don't do them. I don't do them. I do. I scan. I scan in my head, but I don't write them down. But this is something I'm trying to change, because I often forget things. I often forget that because I live in a world where we're terraforming dreams, which is like this gaseous planet. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to like colonize and terraform it, and create life and grow crops on this new planet, or forest them and stuff. And that's kind of what it feels like these days.
Absolutely, absolutely. But it feels great though. It does feel feels so good. It's so
You
funny
know,
because we were dying to do stuff, and then like,
yeah,
oh my god, I just want to get out of the house and go do stuff. And then now we're almost at the point now, like, oh man, are we almost done? Oh man, I'm so tired. But then you also got to think back to, wait, we were this way before. Like we don't want to go back. You know what I mean? Like if it
absolutely.
taught us anything, we don't want to go back. We want to keep doing what we're doing now, because once it's
Yep.
gone, you're gonna miss it.
Well, I caught myself. I caught myself because somebody had called me, or I had something to do, and I'm just like, oh. And then I was like, whoa, hey, you were asking for this 2 years ago, and you were like, if that ever comes around again, this is what I'm gonna do. It's here. And yet you went, oh God. And I was like, no, no, because you know, the two things that keep me up at night the most would be wasted talent and wasted opportunity. That's
Mm.
why I've been on a crusade with the Freedom Forgers, and even in my own life, to do new things and do those things that I said I wanted to do.
Yeah.
That's why during the time off, the Total Drama was on, and I was like, it's never coming back. I was like, I've got to do something else, because for 10 years there, my identity was Total Drama, and it was all encompassing, and I did it to myself too. And I didn't realize how much of like a python was like wrapping. I was like, oh cool, a snake, but then I was like, and then the python was just
Ah,
squeezing the life out of, you know, squeezing the life out of me. Did my sound just go out? There we go. But I realized that I was missing a lot of more opportunities and a lot more of my talent, because I was so busy and consumed with the one thing, which was like put a skin around everything. It was like I used tarragon on the whole buffet. You know what I mean? It's just
yeah,
like everything was
exactly.
total drama. Even the people I'm talking to, I'm not even talking to colleagues, I'm talking to fans. You know what I was saying? And sucked into this make believe world based on a cartoon
Yeah.
with an imaginary character that sounds like me. And then I started sounding like this, because who wouldn't be seduced by people loving you and your voice and your stuff, And I was like, but this is not me. It's not me at all. That's why I devoted my life lately for those that never had an opportunity to because all these people, I just wanted to be a voice actor because I grew up watching you, and I want to, but I have autism or a disability. I was like, okay, you can do everything. I was like, let's do this. So I dedicated my life to those people, because I had a chance. I did. And I made the most of it. And it didn't turn out the way I expected it to with all that. But the way it did was a blessing in disguise, because I realized that I was trying to impress people and work on a job that really didn't require any of my talent. And it didn't really offer me further opportunities. It was all within a capsule, and it all had a sunset clause on it. I didn't realize that. So that was a valuable lesson for me, and one that I'm grateful to have. But now that that's passed, I look at the rest of my, say, let's not look at the show. And I'm like, that's done. There's another person doing it.
Yeah,
It doesn't
exactly.
have,
And like
it
best
doesn't
of luck
have
to
to be,
him, but
yes, it doesn't have to be compared. It's two different shows now.
it's
Do you
like
know what I
comparing
mean?
Batman. You know what I mean? Like it's like, okay, comparing Christian Bale to Robert Pattinson. Okay, I mean,
There
yes,
you
you
go.
can
It's
do
a
that.
franchise. It's a
Yes.
franchise. It is a franchise. If you want to keep up the same character, well, they had obligations, right, to HBO Max and Cartoon Network, and you can't let those go. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Either way. And like I said, I was just going to do the comeback season because, hey, I could use a little bit of cartoon money after the pandemic. We all went there with no work. And, but the thing is, I didn't want to do that. There were other cartoons, including my own that I was producing with these people and with some animation companies that are like not fresh, just fresh TV, which
Yeah.
ran my whole career. Right. So this is why I love this idea of the think tank, to a place where you can give your ideas sunlight and water
Yes,
in in a
exactly.
community, in a safe community. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it could be like literally just anything. Like it could just be I have like the like just some play idea that I don't know any of what the characters are, but I have a general idea of the story. Let's talk about it because we can help you turn it into something. We can brainstorm ideas, workshop it. That's where it all starts, getting feedback from others. And that's why I
Mm-hmm.
also love this too, because I mean, there's so many people now who don't know where to start. Like they don't know where to begin, and this is the opportunity that you and I are providing. And me speaking from my experience as well, writing plays and putting on plays and stuff like that, the feedback of others really helps you because it's not just you looking at it. Like you might look at it, yeah, it's perfect, but then once you put it up, people look at it and go, oh, you could have had this, you could have had that, and then you're rewriting it as you're going. This is the
Yep.
best way to start and get feedback early on so you could prevent that from happening later.
It's like being asked to do a showcase. It is like the Dragon's Den or the Shark Tank where you get to put up your ideas. Except for this one, there's not a panel of people going, that's a crazy idea, because all ideas are commodity. You
Oh,
know, all
absolutely.
all ideas, and especially these new ones coming out from a generation that everyone is pretty much written off. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, and I was like, that's not fair to them. They've already gotten a shitty deal. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
grew up, my generation, and being born a, well, first of all, winning the only lottery that really counts was I was born in Canada. And I happened to be born into a middle class Caucasian Roman Catholic family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I've had my struggles for sure, but there were other ones that I did not have compared to the rest of the world, compared to different cultures, even here in Canada, like not even close. But um, I think having a platform where everybody can get an opportunity, especially the ones that did not have an opportunity before. And that's really what this is for, is that, but I do feel bad for Generation Y, Gen Z. Where are we
Gen
at
Z.
now?
Yeah.
Gen Z, even Generation Y, they got a raw deal. And they were like, here, you're inheriting the planet, and the this is your link of the chain. It's a new one. Soon you'll be there, but this is what you have to deal with. And I'm looking at it compared to what I had growing up in the 80s and the 90s. It looked almost like Roman times. It was just like, it was unbelievable, the amount of opportunity, carefreeness, and freedom that we actually had, that I took for granted. A lot of us did. And now we're here. You
Here
know
we
what I
are.
mean? Here we are. Yeah. So give it up for Gen Z, man. What does Z stand like? What defines Gen Z? Is
I don't
there a
know what
thing?
that actually stands for, to be honest with you. They say Gen Z, Gen Y. I'm like, what do the letters even mean? Like, there's
Well, there's X, which is
X,
my
right?
generation because they didn't know what to call us because we were a product of the boomers. So they just put an X. Like if you don't know your name, sign an X, right? And they were like Gen X, which was kind of cool though, because like it's pretty awesome.
Just
Because there's that
X.
freedom. Dude, we were feral. They just let us like
That's the
here.
freedom. That's
We
what
were the
caused the
free
freedom
to be you
foragers.
and me yeah, totally. Totally. And we've lost that. We've lost that. Now you're totally free to be you and me, but all of a sudden people are activists and fighting for to be who they are when they don't have to push on open doors so much. Or maybe they do. I don't know. That's what this is about.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think they just went, well, if that's X, then the next one is Y. And then the next one should be Z. But then where are we going? Where are we going? Are we starting with A again? Like I don't
yeah.
understand.
Gen A, Gen B. It's like ooh,
Alpha, Delta,
Alpha.
Omega. Yeah, like no, man.
It
Then
sounds
there's
like the
gonna
COVID variants. Remember the COVID variants? It was like the
yeah.
Omicron, the Delta. I said I can't wait to get the fucking Optimus and the Decepticon one.
I'm just gonna get the
Megatron
He-Man.
variant.
He-Man. Yeah, just going He-Man, Masters of the Universe. I'm getting the
He-Man.
Grayskull. Grayskull jab. Grayskull.
Grayskull.
Grayskull. Grayskull right there. Hey man, you know what? You and I can talk all day. This show is not about us. It's about the people that you have. We're starting with before people audition for us or send in their audition tapes or their stuff. You've gathered some friends by putting the word up. Who we all got coming up today, Corcoran? Who we got?
Today,
Who we got? Who we
well,
got?
Potenza. Today, today
Yeah.
we got Kendra McCallum. Kendra McCallum. She was actually on this podcast before, actually back in the summertime. Theater enthusiast. She is currently in St. Thomas University, majoring in English, and she is also starting up her own community theater company, Lotus Streams
Ooh.
Entertainment, and she's
Sorry,
got
I
a
made a sound over that. What is the name of her thing?
Lotus Streams Entertainment.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I put the sound effect after
There we go.
instead because you went her the name of her thing is and I went ooh right through it like an
It was
idiot.
the name is Entertainment. You're like, what?
I heard they have a lovely season coming up. Wonderful.
I don't know what the hell they are, but so coming up,
Soda
guys.
Stream, eh?
Coming up, we have Kendra McCallum of Entertainment, Lotus Dreams
Yeah.
Entertainment. Coming up, guys, in just a moment. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Corcoran Entertainment Show. I'm your host, Franky Corcoran, with the Thursday Think Tank with Christian and Friends. I'm Franky. That's Christian. And we also have our guest for today, who you guys probably, for you guys who regularly check out the podcast, she is no stranger to the podcast. Her name is Kendra McCallum. She's, of course, starting Lotus Streams Entertainment, and she also does everything in theater, acting, behind the scenes. You name it, she does it. Kendra, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. This is your and Christian's first. Actually, no, not your first time meeting. You and Christian met last week. I'm getting my weeks all mixed up, but and you've also been a fan of Christian for years as well too. So I remember as soon as the opportunity came up, you didn't think I was being honest.
I didn't take a second look. I accepted right away, no matter what.
Christian
What did that-
Potenza wants $1 billion. Oh yeah, sure, I'll give it to him. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
How did that email look? How did you table that?
Well, he texted me on Instagram, but then he called me to tell me in person.
Right on. And you thought you were getting punked?
No, not exactly, but I didn't expect him to ask me so soon right after you guys did your podcast, you know?
Right. Especially for a new thing altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah. Franky, he don't waste no time.
No.
Franky.
And I knew how big a fan Kendra was, so I'm like, I think it's
Yeah.
perfect. She is an aspiring creator. She loves all the work that you've done, 16 total drama, all that. I said it's no brainer. I'm sure she'll do it. I'm sure she'll do it. So I texted. I said, "Hey, can you shoot me a text?" I said, "Fuck, I'm just gonna call her." I just went and
Yeah.
called her, and she couldn't believe it.
And this is exactly why I left it out to him, because like, when I was at doing Comic Cons and, certain conventions and having this outreach moments with my fan base, that's where I realized that it's like I played a part in their lives and their creativity, and I had no idea. I had no idea, but I'm like, well, I'm not doing anything right now. What are you doing? Like, it's like, hey, like, you want to do something with that? If I inspired you by showing up and showing off and just, trying to be the best voice actor I could, or just, and that did something for you, what do you want to do with it? And that's exactly why I approached Franky. So like, you're like patient zero for this kind of thing. And I want to thank you for all those years that we spent together that had no idea. And like, we've got some catching up to do. Let's put on the kettle. And that's exactly what I want to do. Is I want to hear about, first of all, I want to hear about you. And then I want to hear about your ideas. Okay. Idea or ideas. There is no set form to this. This is a think tank that we are thankful for, right? Think tank. Thankful to be thinking. So the way we're going to do it is you are now, because you've never really dealt with somebody in the industry.
Not exactly, no.
Right. And so we have a format. We put things out on a format. We relay informations on a format. We work in a format. Otherwise, if you're finger painting with dreams all day to make them materialize, it's hard to make that happen. But you can, from thought to paper, and then lift it from paper, create a mind hive, and actually produce a thing that is recorded either by a camera or by a microphone, sometimes both at the same time. But either way, this content is in a format. And that's exactly the way we're going to start this off. You're going to pitch your ideas and yourself in a format, but you don't have to pitch to sell. You're just going to slate. A slate is kind of like your industry dog tag. You're going to say your name, and you're going to say where you are broadcasting from. And it could be my room, or it could be the actual city, town, blah, 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 or, but that's up to you. Just so we have some context, so we don't just think like, well, where is she at? So just like a radio host, you will introduce yourself and go, hello, my name is, and right off the bat, 50% of the people like you that are listening, and 50% of the people hate you. You don't look like a person that people hate, but they just may not like you. Okay. And that is not anything you've done. It's just because you possess traits or characteristics that remind them of somebody at some place at some time that took their shine away, or parts of themselves that they wish they could access so freely like you are, or parts of themselves that they hate and just want nothing to do with. Either way, it has nothing to do with you. But then after you introduce yourself and you've got 50 and 50, you're going to table what you're going to talk about. Like for you, for the first one is, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. And then the 50% of the people that like you are like, cool, I need to know more. And the other people are like, well, I don't like her still, but I like what she's going to talk about, blah, blah, blah. And then they're in. Now you got a nice 180. Now for the rest of that time while you're talking, you are now going to talk about what you said you were going to talk about. Don't go too fast and let it get away from you. Don't let it drag on the bottom. Don't let it corkscrew left or right. Just keep it in the pocket. Then when you're done, I want you to give a tail slate, which is, hello, my name is Kendra. Or don't say hello, I'm Kendra. Thanks for listening. Or I'm Kendra, and that's all I'm going to tell you for now, or whatever. But that will sort of stop it. And then we will open up the discussion. But between your slate and your tail slate, that's all you. Okay. And while you're talking, just know that the people at home listening are relating their own, and myself and Franky, but Franky knows you. But for me that doesn't know you, I'm relating my own experiences and memories so that I can make a connection with what you're saying. And that's why you always tail slate. So that is the format. Do you understand that one, Kendra?
I do.
Okay, wicked. Kendra, we are rolling.
All right. Hello, my name is Kendra, and I am currently in my bedroom in Fredericton, New Brunswick. I am originally from Miramichi, New Brunswick, where Franky is currently right now. I grew up here in the Maritimes, and I'm currently in Fredericton for school at St. Thomas University, majoring in English and then doing a double minor in fine arts and history. Later, I eventually want to become a teacher, whether it's within the high school or with the company I am currently starting up, Lotus Dreams Entertainment, within the province of New Brunswick, where I'm currently residing. In the reason why I wanted to start up Lotus Dreams Entertainment is because that I want to focus on encouraging not even young minds, but everyone, and empower anyone who wants to work in the entertainment industry, because it is a tough industry to get through. And I grew up being in theater for about over 10 years now, and it's been really tough through my experience anyway. Not everyone has the same experience that I do, of course, but I just want to encourage people to do what they want, to learn what they're passionate about. And I just hate when people get discouraged and are told that they can't do it. So my goal is to encourage anyone who wants to deal in any aspect in the entertainment industry. So all right, a little more about me is that, as I said earlier, I am studying at St. Thomas University here in Fredericton, New Brunswick. I am currently in a student directing class, and at the 1st April, April 5th and 6th, I will be showing my first masterpiece, 10-minute masterpiece that I'll be directing with a couple students here at St. Thomas. But I also want the actors to feel comfortable with me as well. So that is what I kind of want to put into this as well. So I'm really excited about it. I'm not allowed to share much about it right now, but it'll be at St. Thomas, April 5th and 6th. So if you guys want to come, free. What else? I love theater, any aspects. I mainly acted the first part of my life, middle school, elementary, mainly in high school with musicals and stuff. Kind of on a break a little bit due to my studies in university and work. But since coming back, taking more fine arts courses this year that allow me to my creativity a lot. Currently I'm taking a script writing class with the brilliant Jenna McClain, theater MB, greatest playwright in my opinion. But she's been teaching me a lot about script writing and stuff, so I'm really excited about that. Other than that, not much to tell right now. With my plans going forward, I'm looking forward to telling you the current ideas I have for future productions, plays, TV, and stuff, and I'm really excited to work on those. All right. I'm Kendra, and thank you for listening to me.
Great. Great. So right away, Franky, do you mind if I just jump in right away? I just want to address something that
Yeah,
you
of
said
course.
about-
Yeah.
Now, you're right. It is a tough industry.
Mhm.
But what industry isn't?
That's true. Yeah.
There's not one industry that is easy if you
Yes.
want to do it the way you want to do it. But I always say to people, if that's your attitude, then if you always think what you thought, you're always going to get what you got. And if you go, it's a tough industry, then, well, it's going to be tough for you. See, it's not your problems that define you, it's how you deal with your problems.
Mhm.
I look at it as going, it's not a tough industry because, first of all, I'm part of a union full of thousands of people that are in competition and collaboration with each other at all times. It doesn't make sense. So It's either mine or it isn't. It's not a competition. My job as a performer and as a producer and as a writer, as a musician, as a voice talent, my job is to audition.
Yeah.
And if I'm good at my job, I get more of an opportunity to showcase more of my talent, and the more you do it, you get more opportunity to showcase more of your talent, but on a smaller platform that is being graded or slotted in your demographic, which is based on how your age, sex, and race. The only things that change are your age, your sex can change, your gender can change, and your race not so much. You know what I mean? I don't think we're at that point yet where we're playing with that sort of thing, but we can in our minds with our pronouns and think other ways. But really, on the outside, that's what you're being judged on. So when you say it's a tough industry, and this is not just you, it's just a common theme. I never once said it was tough. I just said it is what it is. But from my perspective, I don't play those games. So can I just ask you why you think it's a tough industry?
Well, like from my point of view, I've been with a whole bunch of directors. Each director is completely different than the last,
And
right?
you're talking about theater.
Yeah, theater. Like
Okay.
I mostly did theater. I did some film a little while back for classes, but I only did theater. But it's
Okay.
my opinion, it's kind of the same thing, but with different elements, of course. But the reason why I say that is because like everyone has different experiences, but in one way or another, I feel like people can get discouraged just by the teensiest little thing someone says. And I just want to create a positive message. Like we're trying to encourage them and teach them. And there are some instances where, like, yes, they do want to encourage, like, most companies want to encourage that like, as well, but they do it in a wrong way that is not suitable for the person they're talking to, I guess, if that makes sense, you know?
Yeah, it does. It does. The key to communication is who am I? Who am I talking to? And where am I? That's what the key to communication is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And some people are oblivious to who they are. They're oblivious to who they're talking to, and they don't even know where the hell they are. So
Yeah.
they're pitching ideas or working from a wobbly platform, trying to do a telemark landing in a moving target. It's just like it doesn't work.
Mhm.
Um, So tell me a little bit more about your company. What does it do? Is it mostly theater as well, or are you looking into more multimedia stuff?
Well, for right now, it's mostly theater because with school and everything, it's just mostly easier to do it like with the equipment that I have on hand. Like, I really do want to
Can't
go
get
into
nothing
film.
cheaper than a black box theater. Am I right? Am I right?
Exactly. That is the exact same theater that we have here at St. Thomas, actually. It's
It
called
is
Black
too.
Box
Yep.
Theater.
Well, the thing is, welcome to theater. That's how we all grew up. It's black
Mm,
box theater is amazing, but do you want to know something? It's the original green screen because when I remember seeing black box theater and at the Fringe Festival here in which I performed in Toronto many years, but I remember in southern Ontario summers, which are so humid and hot and brutal, I remember sitting in the annex in some little thing behind Futures Bakery, behind the Transit Club where we had the Fringe play, and I remember just being so hot. And then this guy comes out and the lights go down. It's hot in the theater. And all of a sudden, this spotlight, and this guy comes out, and you hear this winter sort of like storm. And the guy comes out in like a parka, just like, and you swear to God, I got the chills because of the power of suggestion. But the
yeah.
thing is, it's black box, which is the original green screen, which is what I'm trying to encourage the theater companies to do is like you can go green screen on your black box theater and you can telecast around the world And if people in the audience are paying $20 to come see your play, you can charge people $5 around the world and get on the world stage.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's very interesting to me. I love that you're like, I was trained as a classical actor, you know, in black box theater. So have you thought about using green screen or multimedia or video cabaret style for your theater productions?
Yeah, eventually. Yeah. I would love to learn more about the technical side of things, of course. That's currently what I'm doing in my student directing class. So as soon as I know the basics of that, I do want to go through with that so I can improve. And yeah.
um Frankie, just out of curiosity, from your perspective, by running some theater and stuff like that, what's the climate out there being received by the traditional as and what about some digital uh, aspects to, you know, a green screen theater production? What do you think uh, the peeps would think of something like that?
I think it'd be unique for sure. I mean, not that it hasn't been done before. Like I know, of course, um, Rivermate Productions, who of course Kendra started off with. They do musicals and primarily musicals is what they do, and they do a lot like visually. There's a lot of not green screen, but what's the word I'm looking for, Kendra? What's that?
Is it projection?
Projection. Yeah, exactly. Lots of that, and it's uh, uh, they more so go they go more in that direction more than anybody I've seen in Miramichi. I mean, a lot of the ones that I've either done or seen, it's all like, you know, with just sets, like hand built kind of thing. Whereas not that Rivermaid doesn't have that. They rely on both. But it goes over very, very well, and they do very good audience wise, and they do very good like reception wise with what they've done, projections and visuals and all that stuff. So I think it go over very, very well here, really, because it already has.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, like when I was little, like they started off with just like sets and stuff, and then as I got older, I noticed there was a bunch of changes within the projection and technical elements. So, like just growing up with that, I always thought it was magical and just enhanced it. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and theater can be magical, you know, and then
Mhm.
for a performer to have that instant feedback, that instant
Yeah.
call and response, that relationship with the, you know, the audience right there, when you know that you, by a simple look, and everyone, you've got 500 people laughing, you know, there's all like, it's my favorite drug, you know, my favorite one. I can't get enough of that. And to make people cry, to hear the sniffles, and to play off that and wait for them to sniffle, or wait for an audience member to finish laughing, or to
Mhm.
simply, somebody laughs and you look at them, break the fourth wall, and then back again, which gets another laugh. Like having that kind of organic performance is just like, ah, yeah, that's why we're here now.
You
um
feel
Pardon me?
It makes me feel good, like seeing it in action, seeing
Yeah.
everyone's emotions. Yeah.
Now, are you more of a performer, or are you more of a producer director type, or both?
Well,
Are you a
recently,
hybrid?
I'm kind of a hybrid. Yes, I love acting, and like I've been in so many musicals and throughout my time in high school and stuff. But I've always wanted to work behind the scenes with like either writing, directing, and stuff too. Like I kind of want to do a little bit of both, and like I'm not just one thing.
I just want you to say so. I just want you to change the language that you're using, because I've heard I hate this, or it's a tough industry. It's like, no. And then you said writing and directing behind the scenes. If it wasn't for the writers and the directors, there would be no freaking scenes. So they are,
Yeah.
that's part of pre-production. That is part of other stuff, but it's not behind the scenes, right? So think about that and give it a little more
Yeah.
marquee. Give it a little more marquee, and then maybe you will go. Because I did the exact same thing as you. I used to say that, And then someone told me, is like, you gotta change up the way you talk, because if you want to get
Yeah.
into that, we as writers or directors or producers don't talk like that. The other muggles, or the people
Yeah.
wanting to be, that think they know. So yeah, because it sounds like you have all the ingredients here to do a lot of great things, because first of all, those building blocks that you need are already working. Those gears are already spinning. They're just not connected to, or sometimes the tiny gears have to spin a lot before the big one actually makes its
Yeah.
rotation, right?
Mhm.
So what I'd like to do is because you brought up some things, I want to talk to you more, but I think I want to combine it when we talk later after you pitch. So Franky, why don't we just take a little bit of a break and reorganize, and then come back, and I want to hear Kendra's pitches. Okay.
Excellent. Yep, that works for me.
Yeah.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a short break, but we will be right back after these messages. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Corcoran Entertainment Show. I'm your host, Franky Corcoran, with our Thursday Think Tank. But you guys already know that if you're already listening to it. I'm not going to bother introducing again. I'm Franky. He's Christian.
I'm
She's
Christian.
Kendra. Yes. And who's Kendra? Who's Kendra? Where's Kendra?
Hey,
There she is, right there.
if we went Kendra, Franky, Christian, we'd be KFC. You know what? I've got a lot of time on my hands, guys, to
Oh
come
my
up
God.
with ideas.
Thank you for the episode title, or like something close.
Yeah,
I love
KFC.
that.
AMC. I love that. I love that, guys. We just came up with the episode title on air. That was perfect.
KFC. And there's my 60-second short that I was there because I threw myself under the bus as well. See how it all works? Kendra, we're always failing forward. All ideas are good. Even my lame one that made Franky smile. He goes, that's the name of the episode. That's how we do. So now it is your time to pitch. Okay. So you get to pitch, to Franky and myself, but also to the Think Tank Nation out there, who is full of collaborators and performers and producers and blah, 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 whoever else wants to join us. And you're going to do it in the same format. You're going to slate, hello, my name is, and I'd like to tell you about a few of my ideas. And first of all, tell us how many, right?
Yeah.
And then let it roll, and then take a break in between each one so that they don't dovetail. Because if you talk like me, sometimes it's like multi-ball in a pinball machine, and I'm like, I didn't really pitch that one idea because and then this happened. Oh, wait, no, sorry. I'm like, So by pitching in a format with a slate, really helps you organize it. Okay, because I'm really excited. All right, we are. You know what to do, right?
Rolling.
Hello, my name is Kendra McCallum, and I am here to tell you my ideas. I have three ideas that I want to share with you all. The first idea is a little play that I have been working on for the past couple years now. I think since COVID started, actually, since we were like cooped up in our rooms, I had nothing else better to do. But I had this idea where it's an inside out type of story, but it was projected out into real life rather than in their head. I created this play like for a class a couple years ago, and I'm still currently working on it. It's currently a 10-minute play called Inner Date. It follows two main characters, Melody and Max, and their inner selves, which are called Inner Melody and Inner Max. They go on their first date, but after talking online for a couple of months, and things are a bit kind of awkward after they have dinner. They don't know what to say, and Melody, like she perceives herself as a quiet girl, like who's very shy and doesn't go out much. However, she's not that kind of girl. She's party girl, and she is scared to let that side out of herself just because she wants to be liked and she doesn't want to be judged by people. And same with Max. Max is kind of the opposite, though. Max perceives himself as very confident and the typical popular guy, per se. But his inner self is very shy and like very insecure about himself. So he just tries to fake it till he makes it. So when he's on his date, like they kind of like play it out like Inside Out style. Their inner selves are out in the world, but they can't see but themselves. So like the inner selves are basically screaming at their outer selves, the end because they're not being who they are supposed to be. And at the end of the play, they have this mutual friend called Lucas. And he's a bit drunk. So he kind of exposed both of them. And in the end, they are revealed to themselves, and inner selves merge with their outer selves, creating one person after they accept who they are and accept them for who they are. And the moral of the story is just acceptance. So that was my first idea. My second idea is about like I kind of came up with it on the fly after hearing a story that my grandmother told me, actually. I thought about an idea for a TV show called Life of a Suitcase Killer because after my grandmother told me about this story about this person who killed people and stuffed them in suitcases and abandoned them, that just kind of intrigued me. I heard of different stories about murderers and stuff, but I never really heard anything that like stuffed people in suitcases. So it's just, yeah, like I was talking about it with my script writing teacher earlier, and she was thought it was a great idea as well too. Just and like I kind of wanted to be in a comedy kind of way, but I'm not really sure how to go about that, if that makes sense. And then the last idea I have actually came from my childhood. Um, so in 2003, a live action Peter Pan released, and it got me thinking, like seeing that movie, Tinkerbell was really jealous of Wendy for like being in love with Peter Pan. But because Tinkerbell herself was in love with Peter Pan, well, it was implied, but like it made me think, what if Tinkerbell was like jealous of Wendy, but not for the reasons that you would think? She realizes that Wendy Darling is actually evil, and the story is set in a dystopian type world where the real world is not as we know it, and everything is twists and turns and stuff. Like, I love fairy tales, and everyone grew up with fairy tales, like especially with Peter Pan. So I just thought it would be a good idea to do something different because I hear different stories from this particular plot, like especially with Disney and stuff too, but I never really see anything that involves like a dystopian world with Peter Pan, if that makes sense. And yeah, those are all the ideas I have right now.
Great, great. Um, and what did you say the last one was? I know the first one was a play, the second one was a TV show. I didn't catch exactly because I was writing something down.
Oh,
What did you say the third
it
one?
could be either. It could be
Okay.
either like a movie or a TV show. Like it could really depends on how
Why are you
like
overlooking cartoons when you're talking about
what?
cartoons too? Why are you overlooking animation? It could be one of
Oh,
those two. When you're talking about a cartoon, why not make it an animation?
oh
What's
no,
up?
yeah. Of course, yeah. I
Yeah.
like we could do that too, but like I just was kind of
No, we're gonna do it that way because I no, just joking.
This isn't a
I,
think tank. It's just Christian will tell you what to do.
Yeah, yeah. The idea of the people. You were doing it this way. Okay. Um, yeah. So if we can circle back to the first one, Franky, this is in your world of theater. Not to say that I don't appreciate and know what I'm talking about when theater, but because you guys are so ensconced in this right now, do you want to start off with your thoughts on the Inside Out esque? Do you have a working title for this?
So like the title that I kind of decided on for at the moment, it could be a work in progress. It's called Inner Date.
Inner Date. I like that. Okay, great. Because the other thing is, when you say it's like Inside Out, usually the way we do it is it's Inside Out meets blah blah blah. It's like if
Yeah.
Inside Out and blah blah were to have a baby, it's the threes. Therefore, Inside Out plus one more thing equals Inner Date. Right?
Mm.
That's
I
the way
just
it goes.
wasn't
So
sure on what to mix it with. I wanted to say that, but I just like there's so many things out in the world.
I
I just
know,
don't know what
but that's
to.
kind of part of the process.
Yeah.
We're going to find that out now. But I'm going to start off with Frankie just because you guys are in theater, and I want to know his takes before I come in with my industry creative and jaded mind. Okay, Frankie, take it away, sir.
It's funny because I actually read this back in the summer. It was after you did the podcast, and you had told me about this, and I actually gave you some thoughts or my thoughts on it as well too. Which, so the script that you sent me, is that your first draft, second draft, third draft? What's the status on that?
Well, that was like when I sent it to you, it was like my second, third draft because my first draft was for that writing class I had a couple years ago, and then I revised it, and then yeah, it was about the second or third draft when I gave it to you.
Okay, perfect. And so you guys haven't read the script. I have the inside knowledge. I have the script. But the one thing that I said, I was kind of going back and finding my notes on that, which was there's definitely room to extend it. Absolutely. I mean, the story you have is perfect. It's got the recipe of a good modern day one act play where it's of course they're dealing with midterms and stuff that people can actually relate to, because people like students would watch and go, oh yeah, I'm dealing with that problem too, and that those ones there are always the best. But definitely what I said then was there's definitely, I think we'd be able to extend it a bit, and because I think there's definitely a lot more potential for, because currently you kind of have it set for like a 10-minute play, which could still work, but I think it could work for even maybe a little bit longer, because I think there's more room, because the characters have some the characters do have some real life problems that kind of bleed into the story, and so I think there's lots of room there to expand on that, and just overall would make more developed characters, more developed story. But overall, you're on the right track. You've laid the foundation, and I think there's more there. I really do think there's more there. But yes, overall, I do love the idea. I really, really do. Inner Date, correct? That's the name of it. Inner Date. Yeah. I wrote down Interdate. I'm like, that sounds like a
Interstellar. Yeah,
Christopher Nolan movie.
quantum dating.
Or it sounds like a dating app though, too.
Yeah, it kind of does actually.
Well, and this is gonna go bleed into my my idea.
We all take a drink of water.
That's actually not water. That is Kool-Aid, orange Kool-Aid. I buy the squishy things because I need to drink more water, and I only drink orange Kool-Aid is my favorite. So I do that to encourage myself. Now I just have to pee a lot. So there we go.
He's peeing right now.
And we're back. Thank you. Kendra, I like this concept for many reasons, because it reminded me when you started talking about it. There was this thing that some colleagues of mine did in the 90s that they put out, and basically it was about ad agencies, and they were saying the subcontext to what they were talking about. They're like, I'm talking loudly right now and using my hands to intimidate you in a thing that I'm talking, and they were saying this, and it was just so funny you saw how people actually talk, but using the sub contest. So now, as soon as you mentioned that it's a date, but they were talking online for months, which means they were texting, right? And then they get together and they realize they don't have much to talk about, which is something that I see very commonly with your generation. So I'm thinking right away that you have two screens that are like thought bubbles, but they're texts. It's their thoughts above their heads, so that they can be saying something, but then they're texting each other. Their inner monologue is now in text form. It's just like, wow, she's like, and you can have it like, he is not at all what he claimed to be. And then like, she is amazing. You know what I mean? Like, she is just, but it's just, you're seeing this subcontest, and what they're saying is a total contradiction. Or you can even had buddy Lucas chime in on both their text threads, like as if he's texting her, because they could have their phones out there too, right? And they could be actually texting for, or they could be planned. But you can play with the medium of having their thoughts up on text, which is great for writing. But I'm with Franky 100%. This should be an hour-long play. It's too, unless you go ahead.
Okay. No, I was going to say I do like the idea, but the like thought bubbles. Like I wanted, like I had Melody and Max like have like there's 5 characters in like this play, Inner Melody and Inner Max. Like they were supposed to be like tiny little people. Like have you seen like the angel and the devil like on your shoulders?
Yep.
Those yeah, I want to be like that, but I really do like that idea how like they're texting and the thought bubbles with that too.
It brings it into modern, and it shows you actually what happens, because I've been on dates and my phone is not, if I'm meeting somebody for the first time, my phone's not there unless I show them, like, well, what do you mean? Because sometimes I talk and then I'd show them, but then but I've noticed that a few dates that I've been on, they're like, I was like, you know what? I think we're good. I'm out.
Yep.
Right? I'm out. And but I see that a lot. I see a lot of young people sitting at, in out there in public on a date, and they're just texting. And I don't know who they're texting or if it's even each other. Sometimes it looks like they're texting each other. Yeah. Like that's the only way and I think that would be funny. It's like they're awkward, even handshaking, or like, but it's like emoji. they like, and then they're smiling, because remember, texting is telepathy, and it would go into clown. It would go into clown. As far as theater, it would be clown, because it would just be it would be up there. The actual lines without being said would be up there, and they could be reacting. It could be all three. If there's one thing Family Guy has shown us, is that there are no rules. You can create a universe. It's not linear anymore. You can create something where they can talk to each other through their text, right?
Yeah.
They can talk to Lucas and anyone else, and it's shown up. Because I still do. I read those like lastnighttexts.com, and even if they're fake, they're fucking funny. I don't care, because it's script and you can reenact them, but some of them are so good. And autocorrect in the thing. I meant to say this. It's like, no, that's not what I meant. And you can play with it so much, of having the text or the telepathy and clown. They text, or there's an emoji of an eggplant and he's all like rizzing. You know what I mean? Like it's that kind of thing, where he's like, too much, pull it back. It's like, here's the smiley face, or, and showing that with text instead of acting it out. I just love that idea. And there comes that multimedia thing as well.
Yeah.
Right. But then to have Lucas come in on a FaceTime, even, you know what I mean? It's like, you can do it. He doesn't even have to be there. He could just be drunk. He could pocket dial them on a thing. You know what I mean? It'd be like, Lucas. He doesn't even have to enter. He could just be a voiceover, right?
Yeah.
And that's another thing you can do as well, is you can have it on print, but for blind people in the audience, we could voice over, because it's them talking, but they voice over their text as well. right? I'm trying to introduce a lot more voiceover into audition or into theater, so they don't actually have to speak it, do the inner monologue through the actual sack of meat that runs off electricity and dreams. So I love that thing, and I would love to see what you do with that if you could bake in that element of the texting.
Yeah.
And sometimes doing theater, I did a play called Metropolis,
Ooh.
which was in front of a screen, and it was the old, the Metropolis, the movie, the black and white one. The
Uh,
the old the old black and white one where there's this Metropolis. Anyways, we reenact it, and it was behind a screen, and we blasted subtitles on it. That was back in the 90s when theater was friggin' awesome, right? And we blasted it, but I love the subtitles, and we did it all with music, and it was just beautiful. But I think you have an opportunity here, and also instead of a one-off, you could create a show a month and have different characters like a sitcom. You could have new characters at all times, so it's like a runner, you know,
yeah.
or a series of 10-minute couples. Do you know what I mean? Or dating
Yeah.
scenarios. I like that. I'm thinking bigger, right? Because I'm like,
Yeah.
why just have a one-off? It make it a thing, almost like a video cabaret, like a Sunday afternoon theater thing where it's like, or a Friday night thing because it's dating. But like that is a great idea, and it's very poignant because I look at people today. I was like, I'd never use social or dating sites. Do you use dating sites?
Well, not at the moment. I'm currently in a relationship, but
Yeah.
I did, and that's how I
Back
met
in the day.
my current boyfriend. So
See, and this is something that's so foreign to me. I'm like, grocery stores out there somewhere, you're going to run into somebody. But I love this because it's very modern and how you can use your phone and the multimedia. But the
yeah,
artistic license for comedy to break the fourth wall, to do so much stuff with that using the text and voicing it over, maybe, or animation, explainer videos. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
that's so great by having the two screens. And the best part is, it doesn't have to be a one-off. You can start it off with those three people. All I got was Lucas. I didn't remember the other names, but if you start it off that way, and then it could be a runner. You could have a night of 10-minute dates, which would be funny. Even if you
yeah,
did three, even if you made it a half an hour, that's great. That's great theater. And that could be every Friday night. You know what I mean? A guaranteed date night so that then afterwards people can hang out and do their thing, right? But it would be a thing. I like this for many reasons.
okay. I love the idea that you just made having 30-minute, like with Lucas. Like this could be the ending one, but Lucas could be on a date at the first 10 minutes and making him leading him into drunk like him.
Or Lucas can be the narrator that's
That's
off to the side. Just make him like in the rocket. Oh, hello, I didn't see you there. like Rod Sterling from the hello and well, like Twilight Zone,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They had like 3 or 2 different episodes, of things that happened, but he always came out. Have Lucas come out drunk or high every time.
Yep.
Welcome to Interdate on today's thing, and he explains everything, and that's why it becomes a thing. It becomes a theme. I'm seeing merch. You know what I mean? I'm seeing it as a runner. I'm seeing it as a Broadway production. Right now it's an incubator off Broadway. Do these half-hour things, but then combine like this character who narrates. He's like a modern day Cupid. You talked about that dystopian future, right? Or world. The dystopian future of dating with online dating, which is what it is. It's like I can't even relate to it. And plus, I'm 51 now. Dating is not what your dating is like, right? So the thing is, I love this character, almost like Desperate Housewives. Wisteria Lane was narrated by somebody who passed away, right?
Yeah.
Through the whole thing, like it goes. So if you make Lucas, and this, I'm just spitballing, but I'm seeing this sort of like great thing that I'd like to see is like making Lucas this drunken Cupid, modern day 2025 post COVID, like just make him the narrator and he can do stuff, and then just over it goes. And the spotlight, and you can have different scenes. Like you can actually set up 3 different tables in one restaurant or one bar and just like spotlight them all, and then maybe have them all interact too. Like you can do so much with that texting and stuff like that. I think this inner date is so ripe, like
It's good.
with possibilities, that I like what you're doing with a 10-minute thing, but I would rather produce for you a 10-minute sizzle reel to sell it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? To sell it as a concept. And yeah, lots there. So let's put a pin in that, because I could take the rest of the time to talk about that. Thank you, computer. Affirmation.
That was my email.
Oh,
Sorry about that.
No
there's
problem.
already producers. They heard this.
Yeah.
This
yeah.
call is bugged, and they're like, "Oh my
No.
god, we want to produce this."
It was Lucas.
Lucas,
It was
It was
Lucas.
just
Lucas
random body
FaceTiming.
words.
He's like, sup, where you at? Who this? Who that?
I'm already picturing Lucas like the Jude, yo, or like the
Totally.
That's how I was going for. Yeah.
So listen, you know what you can do? You can also, you know how people ship characters from cartoons? They ship characters. You can actually have a Jude, and you can have Chris McClain dating. Like you can write your characters and just have like just for the fun of it. Like this is so good. This is a concept that I could see like every week. You know what I mean? Because you can even hire actors to be consistent runners, or hire the same actors to play different people, but also hire different people so it's constantly moving this cast. And then you can have repeaters and stuff like that. I see it. I see it as an online stage TV show, an episodic. I see it as episodic is what I meant to say. But I'm gonna get off this right now, because like I said, I'm gonna see Frankie and I going to see you in about 4 to 8 weeks on this one. And yeah, way to start. Let's dip into the TV show. So this is about what piqued your interest about people, because you have this cutest little squeakiest highest voice. You're like, and then I just found that interesting that these just sort of stuff them in suitcases. And I was like, that's dark already right there.
Oh,
Just
bro,
going,
I didn't like. I'm not like that at all. I'm like, in my opinion, like I love just reality. Honestly, like reality is just. I
but
don't know where I'm going with this.
that's a different kind of reality. But the
Well,
one that
yeah,
you
but like, it
connected with,
happens in the world. Like no,
oh
like
yeah,
it was a true story, and like
right,
it just made me think. Like it's a serious subject,
right,
but there are some TV shows and movies that takes a serious subject, but also comedian. Like
yeah,
that
yeah.
is it.
So that's what I was going to suggest to you, is making this concept a workplace comedy. And this guy is a luggage salesman or a district manager, right? Look at Dunder Mifflin, in The Office. The show is about a paper company. That's essentially what it is. The backdrop is a paper company, but it has zero to do with paper. Like zero, right? So like here we've got somebody who's like a Dexter who kills, and they've got a thing, but are they vigilante? What did I just say? I'm a vigilante. Do they kill like bad people and they're justified, or are these just straight up, I kill, doesn't matter, I'm stuffing it in a suitcase?
Okay. The first kill was by accident. I
Of
thought
course.
about it. It's this lady who was being kind of sexually assaulted, and she was just trying to protect herself. So she didn't want to get caught, so she decided to stuff the body into a suitcase and try to figure it out from there. But then she decided, oh, I kind of like this,
She's got a taste for it now.
Yeah, and I also thought about an idea about where the killer is being haunted by her victims as well too.
It's funny because you went with a female lead in a murder show, and I went male right away. I didn't even think, because I was like, well, I wrote down workplace comedy. He's a luggage salesman.
Yeah.
Not even thinking. When you said she, I was like, well, now that just opens it up completely, because here's the thing. She can come in and get a customized luggage for her victims. She'll size up her victim and then go talk to the luggage guy, right? So she has an accomplice. So she's not on her own. And that's really interesting. I love that. I didn't realize it was the she, but she's the mastermind. And because he's going to ask, like, why are you here every couple months to get a brand new one? I sell you top of the line stuff, the most durable stuff. And you need these big, different size with all these different compartments. Like, what do you do? And then she'll make up this lie of what she does and why she needs it. But he doesn't believe her. But now we've got him like something ain't right. He's trying to crack the code. So he's on her and she catches that. Like, that makes fodder. Do you understand what I'm saying there?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, because there you go. And then also you can introduce a romance, a conflicted romance.
Talking about it, yeah.
Pardon me?
I thought about that when you were talking about that, like a romance between like the killer and then the accomplice.
And now he's not an accomplice. He doesn't start off that way, but he falls in love with her. He sees what she's doing, and of course she's shocked. He's shocked. But there's an entire season right there, And the workplace comedy is a luggage store. The backdrop is a luggage store and the luggage industry. So if anything, when you start researching this, because I want you to, I want you to go and find out all you can about the luggage industry. Because like any other industry, it's corrupt. It's great. There are spies. There are salesmen. It's like there's all this stuff, but to create it in the luggage industry and then forget about the killing, because the killing was accidental.
Yeah.
Right? It was accidental. And she could have, let's say she hit somebody with her car and then put them in the trunk and then drove to, the Mapleview Mall and went into the luggage store and found this, or went into Luggage R Us and go, because she panicked or, just wanted to hide out. And she's like, oh my God, divine intervention. And she meets this guy who's kind of like a Merlin, who's kind of like, luggage, huh? Every time in a movie when they go in to get a gun because they want to kill somebody and it's somebody who's never been in a gun shop, but picture the gun shop like the luggage store. They're the same thing, right? Because that's not the weapon, but that's the thing that covers the crime. Luggage, innocent luggage, now takes on a different meaning. So I want you to look into the luggage industry and create another character for her, the lead. How old is your lead? How old is she?
I never really thought about it. Like, I was just probably thinking about like a newly formed adult, like just out of college or high school, trying to make it on her own, move to a new city.
What is a newly formed adult? Like, what lab did they come out?
That's newly formed.
I love the way you describe things. You've described things a couple of ways that I describe things, but I was like, I know what you mean, but I was like, I've never heard somebody. I just go, well, that's just me. I'm old at this point, and but a newly formed adult. Oh, I like that. Okay, yeah. So fresh out of uni.
Just trying to make it try a new place, like trying to meet new people.
She's between 27 and 30, but not over 30, because that's when things change in adulthood. So I'd make her 27. That would be great. 27 to 30 to start. And then I would start working on that other guy, the accomplice. That just makes great. And then her family life, where she's coming from, like her immediate circle, and then that guy. And let's start there. But look into the luggage world. You're gonna find storylines just within, like, did you know that blah blah blah, and like that's where we start. That is great. I love. And do you have a name for this? A working title?
Not Not really. The only thing I have is like a Life of a Suitcase Killer, but that's just the first thing that came up on top of the head.
I'm gonna give a working title out there right now and call it Stow and Go.
Stow and Go.
I like that actually. Stow and
Ooh.
go.
Stow, because you stow the luggage, right? And you go. So in cars, they have that stow and go compartments that you can put
Yes.
luggage or you can put the seats in. Stow and Go. Just call it Stow and Go. For now, it's a working title, so you have something there. If you want, take it or don't. But like you see, when we leave, when you go away, I'm still going to be thinking about this, and I'll probably talk to Frankie about that, and we may as part of our format is maybe look at these things later on where it's just him and I, where we talk about it, blah, 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 so that when we meet you, we have it all laid out, like in a proper formatted pitch of ideas where you can go with that. But I really love that. Oh wait, what do they call it? Overhead compartment, Stow and Go. Never mind. Yeah, just leave it with Stow and Go right now, or something like
I
that.
love that
Pick
though.
something. Yeah, Stow and Go. Because
Are you
it's all
thinking
about
animated, by the way? Animated or live action? I could see this as a funny animated series. That's just me though.
I'm
Like
seeing it as a hybrid.
yeah, hybrid. Like I was thinking like mostly live action, but I'm kind of like thinking of like something like Who Framed Roger Rabbit in a way,
Yeah,
you know?
hybrid.
Oh, okay, that's good.
even
Yeah.
even in their thought bubbles, or even in the you see somebody, you see the luggage, but then they can do like an x-ray version of like how they are. You know what I mean? In the luggage, whether they were cut up or whatever, you just like you do an outline, but having their thoughts, or like daggers out of the eyes, like little simple animations that are
Yeah.
highlights to the thoughts or the narrative, but also how she sees people. Like these vigilantes that will see somebody, they'll be like, it could be somebody like at Starbucks going, hi, can I get your name? And then she sees them and she sees like the devil horns, and like how she
Yeah.
sees that through her eyes. I think she's like on mushrooms or LSD. Like she's in an alternate universe where she
Yeah.
does not see a problem with, well, I will look at you and go, she'll like first like, hi, my name's Christian. Oh, nice to meet you. How much do you weigh? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, right, like those are her questions, and getting to know somebody, which gives her quirk, and she's already sizing people up, and like, I think this is great, but I'd like the animation aspect,
Yeah.
but also too, Frankie, the cheapest form of animation is imagination. So if it is live action, we can cut away and do suspense of belief and just see the luggage and just suspension of disbelief. There's a body in there, even though there isn't. It's just full of rocks, and watching her like pull it, or it drops, it falls downstairs, and to see her face, knowing that it's inside, right? So we don't have to make, because cartoons are expensive.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
But
It was one option.
animation,
That was one option I had because I was kind of just picturing what did I have in my notes here? I had it pictured. It was like The Office and Dexter mixed
yeah,
together
yeah,
with but then in animation a little bit feels a bit like not the Futurama, like that type of humor kinda, if that makes any sense, like that kind of vibe. But definitely
yep.
the Office and Dexter are the two that I got out of this.
And I think too, kind of like how Quentin Tarantino creates its own worlds. I think setting this in like the 1950s, but the 1950s version of 2025. Do you know
Right.
what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that weird sort of play on eras. You know what I mean? It's like we never left the 50s, but now there's this futuristic idea of what the 50s look like.
Yeah.
Like back in the 50s when they looked at like the year 2000, right?
Yep.
1950, and it was only 50 years later, but they had like us in spaceships and living on the moon and stuff like that, this totally like futuristic thing. They weren't far off as far as the technology, except we're still driving around in 50s convertible listening to Chubby Checker. Like it doesn't, but we don't look or sound the
We haven't
same.
changed.
But I love that because that would make it almost like a live action cartoon. If you look at something like 30 Rock or Parks and Rec, but like something like 30 Rock, which is an animated live action. It's a live action cartoon. There's no way that this or these things and the swoop, Malcolm in the Middle, another live action cartoon, right? That kind of world where we have this thing, but like once again, very ripe with so much ingredients in there, especially in the broad stroke that you laid out. There's still a lot there. Let's stick a pin in that one.
I was actually just watching Malcolm in the Middle before we came on here, actually.
Really?
It's funny that you mentioned that. I was like, I literally just watched that before the call. I think Christian's here. He like knows what I'm watching and everything. He has my phone bugged.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic show. I love it. It's one of the best shows of all time.
Show, but I was like, what a weird one to pick. You know what though? It's brilliant.
I love that show so much. So much.
But yes, there's a good template, like those kind of shows. So a live action cartoon. I'm just gonna put that down there. So maybe not a hybrid, but a live action cartoon.
Or like Space Jam kinda.
Ooh.
A little bit like how they do that. Yeah.
But I'm gonna show you some things just with like thought bubbles or extenuate, like just simple animations, because really for it to qualify as an animation, for all these animation channels, they have a certain percentage. They have a mandate that a certain percentage of it needs to be animated in order for it to qualify for them to air, and also to go to get for award, to get awards. Kendra, there just has to be a certain amount of animation. So anywho, this falls right in with what I've been thinking about because okay, let's go with Tinkerbell
versus Wendy. That's what I marked down my notes. Tinkerbell versus Wendy.
Tink versus Wendy.
Like Freddy versus Jason, except it's Alien versus Predator.
And is this a play? Is this a
no, I wanted to make it like either a movie or a TV show. Like at first I thought it would be a great book, but seeing it on a screen I feel like would be even better.
I think a great way to storyboard this to start it off with would be to do a graphic novel and animate that and voice it with some soundscapes as a pilot. Right? As a pilot, it's almost like storyboarding it, but I would start with a graphic novel on this instead of pulling the trigger right away, because this is a big one. Now, you can jump into the future with Tinkerbell and Wendy, right? You can jump into the future. And that way you want that dystopian thing. So let's say for some reason, do you remember in Hook when Robin Williams was playing Peter Pan and he's sort of like, I crossed over, I'm over here now, I haven't been back forever, and then he goes back and it's kind of cool, but it's like you see the both worlds. Let's say that like CERN Hadron Collider, what is it? Yeah, the place where they screw around with atoms and what we're made out of and how we do it. But let's say they opened up a portal and we're into more Mandela effects. Let's say Neverland and Earth, modern Earth, blended because of some mishap where the two universes passed through each other, but for some reason the experiment failed and we got stuck. So there's, in Neverland, Tinkerbell is the lover. Tinkerbell is the one.
Yeah.
On Earth or modern day, whatever, in this plane, it's Wendy. But what if they're both stuck and they're both like blah blah? So we have this world that here we go with the hybrid again, right? But here we go with Neverland and modern day Earth, and I would make it 2025. You know what I mean? With iPhones and stuff relatable, and how people are like, well, and if we use COVID as the time where it did, like it started with a pandemic and now here we are. It wasn't COVID. It was a disease from Neverland. It wasn't even that. It was just two universes passing. But we can use the pandemic where it changed us all, because you can go, there were days where nobody left. We had to stay. We didn't know what was going on. The birds got louder, da da da, and our jobs, everything changed. But really, what you're talking about isn't COVID-19. It's about the two worlds colliding and getting stuck in a hyperloop or whatever they called it. But then you have, because Tinkerbell in the modern world would become a human,
Yes.
instead of a fairy. But she, because the worlds are trapped, she can go, be human and like have her job. And I was like, and she can do both worlds. And
Yeah.
Wendy, we just got to figure out what happens. I think with Wendy, I think having her younger as well, like a younger version of her. So you have two actors and then two different timelines, but they keep flip-flopping. And that's the part that they haven't figured out. So it's not so much they're both characters are trapped.
Yes.
And both are heroes and both are villains, sort of thing. That would be amazing. But I would do a graphic novel to start this one off, because in this industry, Frankie and I were discussing it. We're in an industry where feature films can be reduced to a meme.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
series can start by a meme and end up to be a full 26 episode episodic, a co-pro with England or something. Like it can go any way. And the pilot season's gone. We're just making content and we're just putting it up so people can like binge watch it. It's over. So, and it's just, we need more content. And this, to start it off as a graphic novel and get a nice little groundswell, because you can do anything and then wait till it's true, because you have three great ideas that can go right away on stage. Even all three of these can be on stage, right? And that's a great way to start these two. This one, though, is meant for TV, and it's meant for, I would start this off as a graphic novel. I would approach all of these like storyboarding. I would approach all of them with a graphic novel in mind, with some voiceover, some narration, because that would be part of your lookbook that you would send, or your sizzle reel. You know what I mean? And so great. So great. Which one out of all of these is your favorite?
Honestly, they're all my favorite because like with Inner Date, like that is basically my first child. Like that's the first serious thing that I have like written on, but these other ideas like Peter Pan, like Tinkerbell and Wendy, like they are my childhood. And then like this suitcase like idea with the suitcase killer, that's from reality. Like it's hard to choose one. If I had to I would choose my child. Like
Well,
Like any good parent would.
yeah, firstborn. And as a firstborn, I appreciate it. Frankie, what do you think about Tinkerbell versus Wendy?
I think it's got a lot of potential. I think definitely graphic novel, because is a good way to start anyway, and you can work your way up, because the thing with the graphic novel is that your hands aren't tied. You can write whatever you want, whereas opposed if you're doing a movie, we have to have the budget for all this and the fights and all this stuff of that. Graphic novel, you can do whatever you want. And then if it sell it and publish it and distribute it, and eventually somebody could find it and pick it up and say, hey, this would be a good short movie, this would be a good like adapted to a TV episode, anything. It could turn into anything, really. And
that really reminds me of the Umbrella Academy because the Umbrella Academy was originally a novel written by someone from My Chemical Romance, I believe.
Oh wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, so and then it eventually became a big TV show. So
no,
that they shot
exactly.
They shot here in Hamilton.
Ooh.
Oh wow, that's cool. Oh, geez.
Yeah, they've shut down streets and we've seen it done. Yeah, I've auditioned several times for the Umbrella Academy, and a good friend of mine was a director on that. So yeah, it's and I knew nothing about it. And they're like, "Oh, it's a graphic novel." I was like, "Go on, go on."
But I mean, and like that's how like most of them start. Like, look at the Captain Underpants. That started as a graphic novel. They made like 20 of those, something like that, a bunch of spin-offs. They eventually made it to a movie. And Harry Potter started off as not a graphic novel, but a novel. And it's now the #1 box office movie of all time. I mean, obviously, we're tempering our expectations here. I mean, if you go into this with the mindset expecting, okay, it's gonna be Harry Potter, it's like, okay, now that's a little too, but there's definitely lots of potential for it, absolutely. And everything has to start somewhere. Like whether like I think we mentioned it on here one time. The Odd Couple started off as a play, and then it went off to a TV show.
Simon.
Neil Simon, yeah, a Neil Simon play went off to be a TV show. Actually, a couple TV shows. One of them starring the great late Matthew Perry. And then of course it had a movie sequel that wasn't based on a play, but it all starts somewhere. And then they did, of course, the female Odd Couple, which was basically the same thing except the genders were swapped. So it's got to start somewhere. That's one thing for sure. So graphic novel, I think, is a great way to start. And whether someone says, "Hey, I like to adapt this to a play," I like to do that. Anything, it like literally anything could happen, and the opportunities are endless. So I think this is a great idea. But I think for me personally, Inner Date, I do love Inner Date, also because I'm a theater guy as well. But I do also love Stow and Go. Stow and Go. I mean, first off, that title is really, really good. That's actually a really, really good title.
Love it.
And that's got a lot of potential too. I think they all do. Inner Date for me, I see more clearly because, as you know, I'm a theater guy. I do that, but the others, I definitely see lots of potential for them all. I really, really do, and I think we're on the right track.
I do too, and you know, it's a great start, but all three of them should get attention right now while you're setting, and then you'll figure it out because, you know, as you start collaborating, it'll be like, yeah, I want to work on you know, Inner Date, like, you know, blah blah blah. It's just like it's so great, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Tinkerbell. I'd get a working title for that.
I like Tinkerbell versus Wendy.
Well, I think that there's already a title about that, but it doesn't have.
Is there actually? Oh,
I don't know. Why does that sound familiar? Like there might be, but I don't know. But it sounds familiar.
Hold on.
Colliding of
Siri, is there a Tinkerbell versus Wendy show?
Here's what I found.
Tinkerbell, Wendy's cameo. All right, there's not much here. I'm gonna go do some digging, but that rivalry, it's the same as Betty and Veronica. It's like it's in all of them, right? But here's the thing: when you think Peter Pan, right? It's a story that Disney does not own, but they own the movie. But right away, whenever we think of Peter Pan, we think of Disney, right?
Yeah,
and
that's the 2003 live action. I don't know about you guys.
That is good. We'll give you that.
Say that again.
2003 live action.
I missed out.
You didn't see that one? The 2003 live action Peter Pan? You didn't see that?
No.
Really? Wow.
You need to see it. It is amazing.
In 2003, I was living my best life, living in California, doing a lot of awesome things. Like, this is the year right before my daughter was born. So yeah, no, I didn't see that at all. I didn't even know that was a thing. But oh, wait a minute. Was that with the blonde guy?
Yep.
Playing. Yeah, I've seen the memes because every time I punch in Peter Pan,
the memes are everywhere.
Yeah, the memes are everywhere. So that was it. That was 2003. Why did I think that was in the 90s? Well, it was pretty dang close. Okay, I'm gonna look it
close
up.
Enough.
But you see, graphic novel, a lot more artistic license to that fantasy land to flesh it out. Because with animation, it's all about budget. How much do you have for your backgrounds? Because that's all you can afford. That's all it's going to be. But this needs to be thought of as a big concept. It's a big concept, but it's fairly easy. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I really, really am impressed with these ideas. And they don't have to be fully fleshed out. In fact, it's better that way. But I really want to meet up with you in about like 4 to 8 weeks. We'll figure it out. And I want to see what you've done. And Frankie and I are going to do some some of our due diligence too, because I'm in acquisition mode. I'm looking for stuff and where the people that I deal with, to get shows. I'm working with an animation company right now, working with some very famous comedians, building shows around them. Right, that's what I'm doing, and exactly like what we're doing right now, we're coming up with ideas of an inkling and then building a show around a personality, a type, or an idea, because it's animation. And what I'm offering is certain ways to record or how we approach it instead of a traditional linear way, right? And this is neat because it's almost like reinventing theater, or like bringing in the media into theater. I'm trying to bring in theater and improv into animation, right? And having this sort of thing with comedians and running their shtick, but creating these worlds. And I'm like, this is exactly the kind of stuff I'm looking for. But if it's not me, I certainly know a few other people that would be looking at these. You know what I mean? Whether it be a graphic novel, whether it be a play that can be adapted into a Netflix, blah 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 blah. Kendra, just really good stuff. Really good stuff.
Thank you.
And you really surprised me with the high voice and then I was talking to my grandmother and then he killed him and they put him in a suitcase. I go, oh, that's neat. I'm really into this. I was like,
but it gave me a great idea. So I'm kind of glad about that.
But you see, that person, your main character, can get the idea of doing that by remembering that conversation they had with their grandmother. If it's an accidental murder, she'll know what to do because she remembers, and you could do a flashback to like a grandmother making cookies and a little kid going, tell me the story about the guy who cut up people and put them in the luggage. You know what I mean? It's just like, that's a funny scene. But using your own experiences from it and baking that into the narration of your show, that makes it more real and it makes it your idea. Killing people and putting them in suitcases is not original. In fact, I saw one on YouTube the other day where it really happened. They show the guy on security system, at the hotel, goes in with this girl. They see them at the bar. They see them at the thing. And I was like, oh my God. And then they see them going into the hotel. And the next day when he's checking out, he's carrying this big luggage. And when you see him wheel it in too, the first time he's just wheeling it. The second time he's like, and it's like she's in there. And he doesn't think he's being caught, but the whole thing was captured on security cameras. And I was like, that's an interesting concept too. Mm-hmm. There was a cop show like that where they did it all on security cameras, wasn't there? They reenacted some things, or they had real footage from security cameras and they based some reenactments around it. I thought that was neat. Yeah, good. I'm going to give this one of these, Frankie. Oh, where is it? How come it's not doing it? There we go.
There we go.
That's what you get, Kendra. You get lasers. You got lasers. Woo! Those are great ideas.
And I can't do that, but yay.
He went rock and roll and Muppet Show. You see that? I love it. Well,
great job. You did a great job, Kendra.
Why aren't you doing voice? We're gonna talk, Frankie. We're gonna talk.
We gotta talk. I just got cast as for the new Muppets movie. I'll talk about that later.
Spoiler alert. Henson Disney owns Jim Henson Studios right now, right?
No, Corcoran Entertainment does now.
Yeah, very good. Very good. I love the way Frankie thinks. It's amazing. Okay, Kendra, you know what? Great. I'll see you in a couple weeks. Frankie, final notes and take us home.
I'll take us home. Bye. No kidding. Thank you guys. Thank you, Kendra. Thank you, Christian. It's always a pleasure. Thank you guys for listening to the Thursday Think Tank with Christian and friends. Definitely, guys, follow Lotus Streams Entertainment on Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff, and keep up to date with all the amazing things that Kendra's doing. Stay tuned because we're gonna have her back on here at some point if this experience wasn't too bad for her. Hopefully, she's not like, oh fuck, I'm not going to that podcast again.
Sorry, I'll be back.
Okay, good.
Off, don't worry.
Any final thoughts, Kendra? Anything you'd like to say, or?
I'm just happy to be here, happy to talk to you guys, to share my ideas. It's been pretty good.
Awesome.
You did well. All right. Yeah. Well, on behalf of Frankie, myself, Kendra, and to everybody out there, remember, it's not bragging if you're actually doing it. Good night, everybody.
Have a great one, guys.